So it's been a couple weeks since I've made an episode. I've been crazy at work and whatever, and I've been doing some real deep research, trying to just so many things. I'm always trying to get a handle on. Really, the big picture is about seeing how these puzzle pieces all fit together. You come up with an idea and you think you understand what's going on, but you have to find some pieces of evidence to point you in that direction, which some of this research I've been doing, I'm not even going to get into it, has been really consuming my time. I'm looking for very specific things, and I'm finding some of them. And it's not confirmation bias, don't get me wrong. So, I just, in the last 2 days, I started kind of, for some reason, getting into, I guess I needed a touch of music. I've always liked truth-ish music ever since I was a kid, and to me that's something, truth music, I guess, to me is something that brings out a very valid point that goes into the bigger picture, which is always what I'm looking for. White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane has always been one of those things. And I've always wondered about the lyrics. As I've done more research over the years, the lyrics have meant more to me and had more substance, and I thought I understood them better. So today I was just kind of messing around, and I thought, I should look at some interviews with Grace Slick. And maybe I could get some idea of why she wrote the song and what she meant by the lyrics and stuff like that. So I stumbled upon an interview that had some really great puzzle pieces in it now. Joe Atwell, I believe Jan Irvin, some other people have, over the years, said things. I'm trying to think of the one, Laurel Canyon, the book written about Laurel Canyon, and some of the people that have talked about Laurel Canyon came up kind of with this idea, or talked about this idea that the culture was pushed in a certain direction. And you can say, you talk about the reality that the CIA bought all the LSD, and then the Warlocks, before they became the Grateful Dead, had that party in the mansion, and you say, well, how the hell did they get in the rights to go in that mansion, and how did they get all this LSD, and all of a sudden it's across the country, and people are traveling around in a bus handing it out, and you say, man, there are some good little puzzle pieces, some evidentiary proof, or some little bits of evidence that fit together in a bigger picture. So this was fascinating. I'll play you two little pieces. It's going to be kind of messy because I'm just going to play them off of YouTube. But listen very carefully to some of this. I'll play one real quick, and then we'll talk about it, and then I'll try to get to the other one without messing it up.
Now, you wrote the song White Rabbit.
Yeah.
And why? But what was...
The publisher never asked me that. He said, good, I'm glad you wrote.
What was it about?
It was supposed to be about, our parents were saying to us while they were holding a bottle of scotch, why do you take these drugs? And the most important period of time for a kid, they say, is 0 to 5. The books they read to me, and most of the people I know, is Alice in Wonderland. She took at least 5 different drugs in that book. Psilocybin, bite of the magic mushroom. Hashish out of the hookah. One thing says, eat me. She gets literally high. Wizard of Oz, they fall down a field of opium poppies, and suddenly they see the Emerald City. Peter Pan, sprinkle a bunch of white dust on you, suddenly you can fly. So what I learned from that...
So we always talk about it, people like Joe Atwell or whoever, lots of people have. But to hear Grace Slick say that, and I'm not aware of her, maybe she has. Maybe she looks at what Joe Atwell or whoever else says or reads the books or whatever. But I'm not aware of any of that. So it's very interesting that she would be looking back on her past and she would say that. That really was very interesting to me, and it is a to me a puzzle piece. It kind of confirms some of the things that those people have talked about. I keep saying Joe Atwell, but he's the one that I remember most talking about in the Laurel Canyon stuff, and I think it was Our Interesting Times with Tim Kelly. Actually, I don't think it was. I think it was Powers and Principalities that they do together. Episode or two, they've discussed some of those pieces, and there were some interviews someone did with the guy who wrote the book about Laurel Canyon. I cannot think of his name. I study way too many things. I can't keep them straight in my head. I've always said someday I'm actually going to just start going one by one through the, I don't know, tens of thousands of books and YouTube videos and documentaries that I've watched my whole life and take notes. I don't know. I need like 3 lifetimes just to get through what I'm doing now. But here's another piece. Let's take a look at or listen to this.
Was the attraction back in the 60s for you to take LSD? What was it about it that was exciting for you?
I think partially we were kind of prepared for it. You get Aldous Huxley's Doors of Perception, Ram Dass and Timothy Leary having done some experimentation with it at Harvard.
Yeah.
And it sounded interesting. And I very often make choices in life where that sounds interesting, and there's no argument in the brain like, oh, you really shouldn't do that because maybe I just go there. It's like, you know.
Wow. She said they were prepared. And maybe you can say it's just wording and whatever, but I found that, wow, that's a great puzzle piece for me. I'm always looking for those little things that, I don't know. That's great. I think that's so important, and I don't know if anyone else has found it. I've not heard anybody talk about these 2 little clips that I played, and I'll send one of them to Tim Kelly. I usually send little. He does such a great show, Our Interesting Times, and with Joe, Powers and Principalities. I'm a big fan of both of them. I learn lots from it. And it's good to just to hear some dialogue. You know, sometimes your head becomes kind of an echo chamber in itself, and sometimes it's nice to see that other people think similar to you, and that you're not the only one thinking a particular way or seeing particular pieces fitting together and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. Sometimes you feel like you're on the right track, and I don't mean an echo chamber like confirmation bias and all that stuff. What I'm saying is, when you get into it as deep as I have been for so long, I mean, it's just basically me doing it, you know. So sometimes you look in the mirror and you say, am I just talking to myself? I'm just pretending that this makes sense and stuff. So when you hear other people come up with or come to the same or similar conclusions, it's pretty cool. So anybody finds any more interesting ones, by all means, feel free to comment or send me an email. j@bigpicture.news. I'm always interested in finding these little pieces. I find them fascinating, and they help us to see what the puzzle really looks like.